Hello, this is an unusual start to the podcast, especially the first ever one. But I wanted to start by making an apology. The podcast that you're about to listen to, I completely unintentionally refer to the league and British American football as exclusively being in England, which is completely not true. So, and I'm really pissed off with myself that I did that. So, the Welsh and Scottish teams that I play against, please do not be offended. It is completely unintentional. And going forward, I will be more mindful of that, especially when one of my favourite teams is EKP. Love you guys so much. So yeah, enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Lids Off. I am your host, Beau Snow, and welcome. Come take a seat. Take your lids off and let's get cozy. I thought it was important to do an introductory episode into why this exists and why me. Why me? I listen to podcasts a lot if I'm not listening to audiobooks. And when I'm not doing that and I'm not working, I am thinking or playing or talking about American football, but not just the NFL, like my American football, which is the Women's League in England. There just wasn't a podcast, there isn't, to my knowledge, a podcast out there that talks about women's American football in this country. And I thought, if you can't see it in the world, then it's, if you can't just sit and grumble about it, it's time to make the content. So I've been playing American football for 4 years. Math. But we'll get into that in a bit. So this podcast is about women's American football. It is about women, and I say that with an asterisk because if you are non-binary, such as I am, and still play in the women's league, or even if you are a woman or female adjacent, and play in Uniball or even in the adult league, then this podcast is for you. And if you are male and you are a coach or you are really passionate about growing women's participation in this league, then this podcast is for you. We are not a podcast that will be clout chasing. As much as I am excited for this podcast to grow and to get bigger, more well-known names on the podcast in future, if that is something that happens, I am not chasing it. This podcast is for the women and the people that I play football with. It is for the women and people in this league that turn up and get battered every Saturday and do it because this community can be so beautiful. And I just wanted us to just sit and have a conversation about it, because if you're not in the community, you're missing out. And I wanted it to be a reflection of all the best parts of us, but also having that conversation, because if you are already in the women's league, you know that we are the bottom of the pile in terms of the organizations that organize our league. And I just want us all to communicate, because it just takes us all to talk and be like, actually, this is a common thread and this is a common issue. Then that's where solutions come from. I also wanted this to be really like, for a rookie getting into this sport specifically, there is nothing accessible, there is nothing there that is a reflection of their journey. And I want the rookies that I meet, or the rookies that you meet, that join your team, to be like, yeah, you know what? This person was going through the same thing. I'm having those same problems. or this is the same thing I'm experiencing. It's that commonality. It's also about sharing best practice. I want to interview people from every single team up and down the league, from sevens to nines, even into GB and international, even into mixed teams like Sealand. Mwah! This unification of incredible women and people that play our sport. And I just want it to be a reflection of everyday life. I am not a paid athlete as much as I would love to be paid to just go to the gym and do sport all the time. I don't. I'm an electrician. I'm also a massive nerd. I love gaming. I met my wife playing American football. And I just wanted people to be like, you know what, this is really accessible, and these are the kind of people that I want to meet, and I want to journal, and I want to share these incredible people that you're going to meet on this podcast, and even if it's just a slither of something that goes, actually, yeah, that struck with me, then that's a win. So, sorry, I've got a bad neck. So, let's set the expectations right from the get-go. This is my first ever podcast. It will be shit. I'm sorry. I am learning. This is a steep learning curve for me in terms of editing. The audio will be choppy. The clickbait that you will see from this content, as you can see, it's just a standard webcam on a 10-year-old Mac. I am doing the best I can. It is about the journey, not the Bentley that we're going to try and get in. Right now, we're in a Panda. We're on the M60. There is hailstorm. We are hydroplaning, but we are getting to that destination, and you're in for the ride. As long as you're wearing a seatbelt, safety first, everything's going to be fine. Also, importantly, as a disclaimer, all the opinions I express are my own. They are not of any team I have previously played for, or for the one or for the teams I am currently playing for. They are my own. My guests that I will get on are attending and expressing their own individual opinions and not of the teams that they play for either. So please don't go getting it twisted or expressing that this team think this or this team think that. It's not going to be that kind of podcast, okay? There will be me calling out shit. For example, BAFA, the British American Football Association, standard of refereeing is fucking atrocious. As someone that has experienced three? Maths is not my strong point. Is it 3? Yeah. I've had 3 years of American football, and the standard of refereeing is just deteriorating. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. That is my opinion. This is my experience from playing and having fucking horrific calls and lack of safety protocols being followed. That is my opinion, not of any team that I play for. And, there are some good things that come from BAFA. I will try and find them along the way. I'm sure the guests that will come along, will share that too. But also, this is like no holds barred. There we go. We got there. Approach to American football. That's why it's called Lids Off, because after you've done playing a long, hard game, and at the end of the game, you take your lids off and you meet people halfway and you shake their hand and you say, good game. And that is the concept of this podcast. It's the lids off. We're sharing our experiences of the wars that we go through during the games, during life. And we're meeting each other halfway. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. It doesn't matter your years of experience or your lack of it, whether you're just coming into the community. I'm going to meet you halfway and I'm going to treat you with respect, and we're going to find some commonality. So, going into that, can you tell I've got a really bad knack? Which is from playing American football. But anyway, my journey into American football. I remember my ex. We were sitting in bed, and she got an advert that came up for the Cheshire Bears, American football team, and she knew that I had played Madden on and off since 20 what I'd say 2019, 2018. So I had a vague, like, and I mean vague, awareness of the concept of American football. Me and my ex met playing rugby union and then playing league together. So she got an advert for the Cheshire Bears on Facebook, and I was like, okay. Didn't think anything of it, and then me being impulsive was like, right, I'm gonna go. But I thought that she meant the Manchester team, which was the Manchester Titans instead of the Cheshire Bears. So I Facebook message Manchester Titans, and I'm like, yo, I'm coming. I remember turning up, driving to my first session. It was just after their rookie sessions. And I got to the parking lot, and I pussied out, and I was like, my anxiety was too much. I couldn't cope, and I drove away. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try next time. So I go back again next week, and this time I'm more communicative with the coaching staff and the committee at the time. And I'm like, I'm in the parking lot. I'm really anxious. Is everything okay? The head coach at the time came and met me at the gate, and was really welcoming. I got asked, they were aware that I played rugby, and if you met me stood up, you would know that I'm built like a rugby player as well. So I say, I play union. The head coach said, what position do you play? And I said, oh, I'm a prop. Okay, so his D line, there you go. And that was it for 2 years. I immediately fell in love with it. I have experienced the highest highs, but also the lowest lows, playing American football. Something that I really want to talk about is my mental health when it comes to game day. Holy balls. My first 2 years of playing American football, I threw up religiously before every tournament, just out of anxiety. And something that I've always struggled with is that flicking a switch and going into game mode, because this is going to sound ridiculous, but I am not competitive. I do not have that in me, that switch to go, I will fuck someone up to win. I don't. I want everyone to have a nice time. I don't play American football to win. I play it because I enjoy playing sport with my friends, and I just want to make sure everyone's having a nice time. So, and I've met some incredible people that usually I would, in every other day life outside of American football, I would have never met. So, yeah, tournaments are a big struggle for me. My last year with the Titans, I was playing some of the best football I'd ever played. I was getting towards, and I was gearing towards trying out for GB. I had a couple of coaches that were saying, you have the capacity to try out for GB if you want, you've got it in you. So then my second year of Manchester Titans was geared around, and I'd always say, GB or bust. So that, that mentality of I need to be the best and I need to get to GB to be to fulfill something, to achieve something. And I adhered to every kind of standard that the coaches had. Like, there was a couple of coaches that were like, we're going to be harder on you, because if you want to be on GB, then you've got it's like a different level. And I did everything that I thought was possible to get me to GB. I was with a PT, I lost weight, I got stronger. But then, as fate would have it, I was the guy Mike Ireland, who is a lovely guy, who is like the head honcho of Sealand Seahawks, organised this charity cup called the Stone Cup, and it's an incredible like experience for me to play football outside of the North bubble. So an opportunity to play football with people that I don't usually get to play football with because I'm usually going against them. The so I'm a grizzly bear. I get and then on the day loads of people drop out, and we just have a team of linemen. It was hilarious and I had the best time. However, there was like a myth, like the basically the grass was wet, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'll have a go at being a running back or even a half. And I was running with the ball. I was being, oh, honestly, I was in the best shape of my life. At that point, before that day, I was training rugby union 3 times a week. Then I was doing American football twice a week, and then I was doing the gym, 5 to 6 days after work. So I was a machine. Honestly, I was playing the best football of my life, and even some of the best rugby as well. But yeah, anyway, back to the story. So the grass was wet, and I planted my foot, and my foot went that way, and my knee went that way, and I got tackled, and instantly that something wasn't right. The pain was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I hobbled over to the sideline and I was like, it's fine, like, just put me back in again. And I, I had 2 plays out and then I went back in again, like the absolute bell end I was, because I was just in disbelief. I felt like, this was going to be my year. Like, I had GB trials like the weekend after, like this, like I cannot afford to get injured. I'm fine. So yeah, I go back on and I'm still limping and it still doesn't feel right. So I actually like, stop being a twat and sit down and, first aid myself. Long story short, it turns out that I tore my ACL. I was heartbroken, genuinely. And that challenge swallowed me whole. Genuinely, the pain, because of the financial situation I was in and the career I'm in, I could not afford to have any time off. So I was working on building sites, carrying cables, and being like heavy lifting, limping. I was like, because the stability of your knee all but disappears magically. The pain was ridiculous, and it killed me. So there were 2 open like tryouts for GB Women's. I tried to go. I binned off the first one. I was like, "There's no way, absolutely no way." So for the second one, I turned up and I strapped my knee up and I tried. I gave it my fucking everything, and it wasn't to be. And I learned a lot from that. Failure for most people will seem like a really harsh word, but for me it was a failure. But I learned a lot from that, and I met some incredible people at tryouts. Some GB athletes that just are athletes. They conduct themselves and in such like a like an honorable way. Like, I have played against the best people and I've also played against fucking dicks. And it's not even potentially that the people are dicks. It's just they have that aggression mentality that gives them the edge during football, and I just don't have it. And I just think some people, I've seen incidences where people have taken it too far, and for me, as someone that's not competitive, I'm just like, bro, chill. Like, we pay to play this sport. But I did learn a lot from my one session at GB. I've got a lot of respect for every single person that plays for GB as an athlete there, or even on the practice squad. Like, you guys are legit. You are playing for your country, and you are holding down a whole other existence as well. And I think that is another thing that fucking infuriates me, is that women aren't, you know, what these women do nationally for our sport is just incredible. Um, so yeah, GB is not for me. I think it took me going to GB to realize you've just got to have this like winning mentality, and that is why they win games, because of that discipline. And I just don't have it, and that's okay. I play this sport to make friends. And some people play it to win, and some people, winning is important to them, and for me it is about the journey we make instead of the destination, and that's okay. Neither one of those is wrong, like, that's just me. So yeah, after that GB decline, I left the Titans, transitioned to the Bears. Living in Manchester, there were a couple of teams that I ummed and ahed about, but the reason why I joined the Cheshire Bears was purely because of their O-line. I shit you not. So I've been saying, like I said from the get-go, like, the Bears branding is just on point. Like, have you seen how fucking cool this logo is? Like, come on. And their O-line, like, going against their O-line was always a fucking joy. I have had the biggest laughs with their O-line. Like, do not fuck about. Like, these girls can be mean. Anybody that goes against them and goes against their heavy alignment, which is like a 5 front, it's just unreal. And they work as a unit, especially this season just gone. They carried offense for me personally. I think that as they work as a unit is a credit to the team and a credit to the hard work that they all put in. And they're just incredible people, like, and to be able to, my position as D-line, to literally I spent 2 years fighting these people, trying to sack the quarterback, trying to get past them, trying to stop the run, and then to leave the Titans and think, yes, the people that I went to war against for 2 years, you know what? I respect that. I'm gonna join their team. And they were so welcoming, and it's, for anyone that's ever transitioned teams, there's always like a hostility, or I don't know if hostility is the right word, but it's always like a bit of like, ooh, especially when you're coming from like a rival team. There is always like a, ooh, are they a spy? Or, ooh, what's going on? Or, all that kind of shit. Whereas it wasn't that way at all. I just turned up to the rookie day, and I was welcomed with such open arms, and it was such a joy and such a peace. And the way in which every single person on that team conducts themselves, I was like, you know what? This is a place for me. My wife also left the Titans. She was prepared to take a year out of football, but we met playing American football, and I can't imagine not playing football with her. She brings out the best in me, and I thought, you know what, when you're going into a new team and you're in a relationship that is formed in American football, like, my priority, my first thing is always, will my wife feel safe here? Will I be okay here? And you know what? I didn't hesitate. I was like, babe, you need to come down to the day. Just give it, just give it one chance. and she did. My wife plays DB. I'm laughing because I will give her so much shit for playing that position. I say on D line with chest. And she has met one of her closest friends through joining the Bears. We have met people that we can't imagine our lives without now. And that is the beauty of American football, because when you genuinely think you've lost everything and you think that you're so dejected, there is always people that will open their door. There are always people that will show you love and compassion. And I just think sometimes when tournaments are running and temperaments are high, people, especially when you've been in the sport for longer than like 5+ years, like you can get a little bit sour to it, and it happens in any sport, in any league, doing anything. Also, can you see this angel? This is the other love of my life. This is Willow. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm pointing to my sausage dog for the audio listeners. But as I was saying, like people can get quite dejected and quite caught up in the drama. There is drama. Not that I am ever gonna fucking platform it, because I don't need to do that. There is enough people that are propagating toxicity in this sport that I don't like. That's not what it's about. I want people to know that this is such a fucking beautiful sport, and this sport has changed my life. It has saved my life, and it is the best. It's the scariest but best thing you will ever do. Is joining American football. That is like a brief summary of my tour de force of American football. I am going into my 4th year now of playing, another year at defensive end. I'm umming and ahhing about offense, but yeah, D line is my personality. I love it. I love the position. It's not just the position; it's just the accessibility of it, and also the swagger that comes with it. It with American football, it is very much a sorting hat, and there is a very specific type of person for a very specific type of position, and it is a kind of sorting hat of sorts. It is very rare to find someone these days that's played 12 million positions. Like it's usually when the shoe fits, it sells. There are teams in our league where they play both ways because of numbers. So every player has an offense and a defense position, which I think is incredible. And it's one way to ensure football IQ, which is something I definitely lack. So yeah, this is lids off. There are going to be highs and there are going to be lows. There are going to be hard conversations. And if you are listening and you think, you know what, I've got something that I want to say. I've got something that people want to hear. Then by all means, please get in touch. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I have so much respect for every single team in this country. Women, because it takes women to get the women's league working. Because at the end of the day, if we didn't have players, then we wouldn't have a sport. There will be talk about, we're going to be going over topics. You will meet my wife. You will meet my friends. You will meet. This is not just going to be like a Cheshire Bears podcast. I genuinely want to interview players from every team, from every position, from every, year and experience. And even if you're a rookie and you're starting the league and you're like, you know what, I want to chat and I want to learn. We're going to be going over, technical things like plays and technical positions and technical. We're going to be going through other people's journeys in this sport, and we're also going to be having laughs about the ridiculousness of this fucking sport. I hope you're along for the journey, because the only way is up, I think. Shrug. But we're in it together, and this podcast can be so much more. But I am literally just the bus driver, and I need people to get on the bus, please, and just start shouting directions, and we'll see from there. Okay? So I've been Beau Snow. You've been subject to this. And I will see you in the next episode, hopefully with a guest. Okay, love you. Bye.